Hey everyone, my name is Minus10 and I'm a middle-aged gamer and tech enthusiast that enjoys all gadgetry related to gaming, streaming, and content creation. When I grew up playing video games, input devices started with the actual gaming console, i.e. Pong, and then migrated to keyboards that were normally attached to the personal computer. Think Apple II or Commodore 64. We were young, happy to be gaming, and we made the most of the tech we had. It wasn't until the 90s and the Nintendo Entertainment System did gaming pads become an alternative. Over time, the gaming pad morphed into the controller that currently rules the current PC, Xbox, and PlayStation gaming world. Many gamers today cannot even imagine gaming with a mouse and keyboard. Yet for me, it's the only gaming input device that makes any sense to my hardened brain. For the longest time, I played on full-sized keyboards. At first, it was all mouse and keyboard gamers had, and I transitioned into the working world and the benefits of the 10-key numpad became understandable. Until around 2015, I was exclusive to full-sized keyboards, but I eventually tried a TKL keyboard and never really looked back. The reality was I learned to live without the 10-key numpad and was thrilled with the newly acquired desk space for my mouse. Not once did I miss accidentally hitting my mouse on the keyboard or dying to a player because I ran out of desk space while frantically maneuvering for my next shot. Currently, I have integrated the Asus Azoth TKL into my gaming ecosystem, and it's been a fantastic mass production, yet customizable keyboard. But for whatever reason, I thought it would be interesting to go back to my roots and give a full-size keyboard a try. For my experiment, I stayed within the Asus family and ordered the Asus ROG Strix Scope 2 96 wireless. Not sure Asus has a logic around naming its devices, but this one's definitely a mouthful. Basically, to jump to the conclusion, it was quite clear after trying the scope that I won't be going back to a full-size keyboard. If you're interested, keep on watching to understand why I chose the Azoth over the scope. Either way you go, the Asus Azoth and the Asus Strix Scope 2 are both very, very good keyboards. The build qualities are solid, and both keyboards sound great. Do note, on my Azoth, I did swap out the stock switches with the Gateron Ink V2 black switches, and both keyboards are customizable. In reality, the customizable aspects of both keyboards is a huge plus. The keycaps could be different between the two boards. The Azoth comes stock with Asus's ROG PBT double shot keycaps, where the scope could have the same PBT double shot keycaps or have UV coated ABS keycaps. According to Asus's website, the scope's keycaps will vary by region. I'm in the US, and the keyboard I received also had the PBT double shot keycaps. I mean, for gamers, PBT double shot keycaps are great as they fill quality on the fingertips and really keeps crease accumulation to a bare minimum. If you're a gamer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For the keyboard feet, both keyboards basically have the same flip-out feet with two height adjustments. Either keyboard's feet adjustments have plastic on the bottom to give each keyboard a little extra grip on either your desk or mouse pad. The feet on both keyboards have a nice and solid feedback when pulling them out, and both heights are well suited. For me, I'm okay with typing at either angle. For my daily use though, I normally type with both feet flipped out. The weights of these two keyboards is about the same, but the Azoth is the chunkier beast at 1.15 kilograms, where the scope is just under 1 kilogram. This isn't surprising, as the Azoth is one of Asus's flagship keyboards, and the overall materials are slightly more premium. Out of the box, the Azoth has a very heavy and quality feel, and this extra weight keeps the TKL grounded to your desk. That said, the scope will also remain stable on your desk. No concerns with either keyboard. Both the Azoth and the scope use the same wireless technology, and Asus's 2.4 GHz SpeedNova tech is rock solid. I've used the Azoth wirelessly since launch, and it's fast, responsive, and no issues at work or in gaming. Honestly, keyboard wireless technology has come so far over the years, I really don't know why anyone would want one more cable webbing across their desk. I'm sure there are gamers out there who will swear by only wired keyboards, but that's not me. Wireless is so much more clean, and it's rock solid for any game I play. In addition, both keyboards have Bluetooth connectivity as well, and if you're like me where you use a PC and a Mac, you can quickly switch between the SpeedNova dongle for the PC and Bluetooth for the Mac. There is one difference between the Azoth and the scope that I will cover later. Outside of the size, the one big difference that Azoth has, but the scope does not, is the Azoth has the OLED display. Until I tried the scope, I always viewed this OLED display as a battery drainer, but once I gave it up for the full-size keyboard, only then did I realize how much I used the OLED display. This is a really cool feature of the Azoth, and I glance at it throughout the day to check my PC volume, CPU, GPU temps, and keyboard brightness. That said, the OLED screen does scratch easily, so if you go with the Azoth, do expect scratches. So why did I choose the Azoth over the scope? Isn't more keyboard real estate better? It does seem counterintuitive to give up keyboard keys, for example the 10-key numpad, but the reality is desk real estate is more important than keyboard real estate. For keyboards, the width and height aren't really important considerations. It's the length that gamers care about. The scope is 14.83 inches or 377 millimeters, where the Azoth is 12.83 inches or 326 millimeters wide. 2 inches. It doesn't seem like much to get a whole bunch more keys, but it is. The challenge for full-sized keyboards is most manufacturers are making huge sacrifices to shrink the overall full-sized keyboard's footprint, and this leads to awkward key layout. For example, the delete key on the scope is in a really awkward position and is placed to the left of the page up, page down key on the top row, or at the bottom right of the 10-key numpad. Trying to train my muscle memory to hit either location for the delete key was a pretty heavy lift for my aging brain. In addition, the keycaps feel much more cramped and smaller. Although I didn't have any problems typing on the scope, when navigating my fingers to the 10-key numpad or other keys, it just felt more cramped. My feel is full-size keyboards should just commit to a larger footprint, as gamers who want the full-sized experience will appreciate the broader layout. In regards to the 10-key numpad, I've been in the workforce for a very long time, and I used to crank out spreadsheets with the numpad at lightning speed. I could type out endless numbers without ever looking at the keyboard. It's pretty awesome, but as time went by, I used Excel less and less, and the 10-key numpad just began to collect dust and stand out as a wasted resource. Ultimately, I learned to use the top row of my TKL keyboards to enter numbers, and I've become very efficient at finding each number that I need. I'm nowhere near as fast as with the 10-key numpad, but the reality is I just don't use it very often, and I'd rather have more desk real estate for my mouse. Another difference between the Azoth and the scope are the volume switches. The Azoth has an up-down clicker, and the scope has a scroll wheel. For me, I prefer the scroll wheel over the rocker, and I hope future Azoths will incorporate a slim scroll wheel to replace the rocker. But the scroll wheel isn't enough to drive me to the bigger keyboard. The Azoth's rocker works really well, and it does have a quality feel. Lastly, the one aspect between these two keyboards that is a really important factor for me is the connectivity switcher. As I live between both Windows and Mac OS throughout the day, I'm constantly switching between Asus's Speed Nova and Bluetooth for the Mac constantly. I'm not sure why Asus's designers made this decision, but the scope's switcher is flush to the keyboard, and it is challenging just to reach down and flip the switch. During my days using the scope, I would have to flip the keyboard up, look at the switch, and then dig my fingernail in to then flip it to Bluetooth. On the Azoth, the raised part of the connectivity switcher is not flush and is much easier to flip between the Speed Nova dongle and Bluetooth for Mac. For my daily use case, I just need to reach down, flip the switch, and keep on moving throughout the day. This one aspect is a deal killer for me, and there's no way I could use the scope long term, as the lifting up of the keyboard every time I need to transfer operating system was really just a bridge too far. So there you have it. I'm sticking with a TKL keyboard. The Azoth will be my TKL going into the future. My gamer brain has solidified around TKL keyboards, the layouts meet my needs, and I prefer more desk real estate over more key switches. The reality is though, in the event you purchase the scope, you won't go wrong. It's an excellent keyboard, is built solidly, and does offer a very pleasant typing experience. But if you're worried about flick shots and your mouse hitting the keyboard, spend the extra money and get the Azoth or another TKL of your liking. Thanks for watching.